Bum, ba-da-dum, bum, 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 bum. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the What's in the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about some great movies. Some movies that we all grew up watching. And they involve ninjas, turtles, and mutants.
Yeah.
It's the Alien franchise. So let's jump right into it because we're going to try to make this not 3 hours long. We're going to start off with I think it's one of your personal favorite movies. I think it's a great movie as well.
The Terminator.
It is Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Oh. Yeah, definitely one of my top 1,015 movies on my list, if I had to say that out loud.
Yeah.
It's up there.
I think of the Alien vs. Predator movies, it's definitely within the top two.
Without a doubt, it is the best in the series.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's definitely in the top two of the Alien and Predator films.
I feel like of the two, one of the two movies is rated R.
And one
I'm
of
not
them
sure
has,
if you remember
has Lance
that or not.
Hendrickson, so...
And it actually I love how the movie poster always threw it in what I view as the predecessor's face, because the tagline was AVPR.
Oh,
and then it just kind of abbreviated it, like, hey, if you're going to make a movie about two rated R movie franchises, you probably should up the gore level just a little bit. Make it a little bit real. That's what people came to see. They didn't come to see some bullshit hand-holding story sequence. I digress. I'll go off for 3 hours on how stupid Alien vs. Predator is. So Alien vs. Predator Requiem is top movie in the franchise right there.
Well, I will say for this movie, the writing is god-awful. The acting is god-awful. Almost everything about this movie is god-awful, except for the fight scenes and some of the death scenes.
Well, and that's the point.
Yeah.
The whole movie is about who the hell cares about a story or anything. It could have been during a bocce ball tournament, and I still would have had fun watching this movie.
It wasn't during a bocce ball tournament?
It could have been. That's all I'm saying. Maybe that's a spoiler for the third one that could be coming out in 20 years from now. Alien vs. Predator. We didn't learn our lesson the first two times, so we made it in a bocce ball tournament.
Alien vs. Predator versus Jason versus Freddy versus Ash from the Evil Dead.
That would be, probably the best movie ever.
3-parter. Each movie's 2.5 hours each.
Jeez. But yes, this movie is terrible, but it is great at the same time.
I wouldn't even go that far.
You get what you pay for. This is a movie that you get what you pay for.
The only thing that's kind of cool is the Pred Alien. That thing's actually kind of cool.
I actually thought that was kind of stupid.
What?
But it's dumb. It's just dumb.
In your own words that you used a second ago, but it's awesome.
Well, the fight sequences are pretty awesome. The movie's awesome, but the whole Pred-Alien species...
Stop saying that this movie's awesome, or else we're going to end this podcast right now, because I am literally losing respect for you as a human, an individual,
I got shit to do.
And most importantly, as a brother.
No, go ahead.
Just saying.
We'll shut it down right now.
Just saying.
We'll shut it down right
I don't
now.
care how much you've been drinking before recording this. There's no excuse.
Shut it down.
Okay.
Shut it.
Well, as always,
the
because...
The movie it's pretty bad. Don't get me wrong.
As always, we have another brother from the same mother, Brad, and he sends in his reviews for all these movies.
Yep.
I personally don't want to keep talking about Alien vs. Predator. I want to go very in-depth in some of the other films. So we'll just go straight to Brad's review. Looks like he gave AVP... Oh, wait.
AVPR.
It doesn't even look like he sent me the reviews this time.
Oh, he might have sent them to me.
Ooh, check your phone.
Yep, got it right here in the textifications.
Perfect.
Well, not a text, because he doesn't ever text people back, but I have it here in the thing where, he communicates through. So, he gave Alien vs. Predator Requiem a 10 out of 10. And he says, hybrid theory. Yeah, that's it. Just
Linkin
2 words.
Park.
I wonder if he was kind of mixed up listening to Linkin Park while he was watching this movie, but I guess you can put 2 and 2 together like they did in this movie and created a new species.
I honestly have to disagree with him on the score, but To each their own. Let's move on.
That's fine. If you wanted to give it a 9.5 out of 10, that's fine. That's your opinion, and it's obviously not shared by Brad. But we're going to move on because I think we've already spent too much time talking about this movie.
I'd personally give it a 4 out of 20.
No, I think I think the record clearly states you gave it a 9.5 out of 10. So it's fine. We're moving on to the real franchise of films here.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
None other than probably very close to, if not my favorite movie ever.
Prometheus?
Yes. Love that movie.
No, we're talking about Alien.
Great. Yeah, we decided we weren't talking about Prometheus, which is a horrible, god-awful movie. But yes, we're talking about Alien.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
1979 horror film. Probably best movie of all time. Ever.
I'd have to disagree with you on that one. Casablanca is a pretty good film.
Oh my God. You are so childish.
And there was this really great movie I saw recently called Annihilation.
Oh my God.
Also
I'm gonna go home. I'm literally gonna go home.
You're at home right now.
I'm gonna go there twice.
So
I'm gonna go home in my home.
Great.
If you don't shut up about that stupid
great
Annihilation
fun
crap.
Fact about Alien. Do you know how the whole scene, like the chest burster scene and the idea of an alien growing inside the body came from?
Pregnancy.
No. It came from writer Dan O'Bannon with his undiagnosed Crohn's disease. So basically he was having really bad digestion problems, and he was pooping a lot. And he didn't know what was going on with his stomach, and he felt like there was something inside of him, and he didn't know what it was. And that's where he got the idea for the chest burster.
They made a movie out of it. That's great.
Well, they were in the process of making the movie, and he was in the process of writing it, but he couldn't figure out the whole idea of what's going on after they plant the egg. And he got the idea of something growing in the stomach and eventually popping out because of his digestion problems that he was having at the time. Fun fact there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fun fact. Don't get me wrong. We've all been there. But
well, he was there for a while, and he actually died from the Crohn's disease.
Well, that sucks.
So we went there.
But anyways, I think true to the horror sci-fi genre that it is, created and just everything tries to be, I don't think there's any movie out there that I can watch as many times as I've seen this movie that still scares the crap out of me every time I watch it. Every time. I always jump. I always get the spooks. I always get chills. It's everything about the film, just it gets you so entrenched in what's going on, and you know what's coming, but it still scares you. Well, that's how fantastic this movie is.
And the movie's really effective because it plays on 3 different things, and they're not about to be appropriate, but it's vulnerability, rape, and the destruction of the family dynamic.
Yep.
It's all 3 of those things, because right from the opening scene, literally you're just in space, you have that ominous tone playing, and the credits start appearing, and then you just see everybody waking from their sleep. And it's very slow. And it feels very strange and vulnerable. And then things just keep progressing very, very slowly until you eventually have your Crohn's disease inside of you. And the stuff's literally bursting out because there's this thing inside of you that you don't want. And then out comes this alien that has the head of a penis. Thanks to H.R. Geiger.
And it basically goes around killing everything.
Yes, it does.
And unbeknownst to the common viewer, but if you don't know about this film, there's actually 2 antagonists in the film. Kind of 3, I would say 2.5, but there's 2 main antagonists in this film. Do you know what the second one is, outside of obviously the alien?
Well, the robot?
No, that would be the half. The actual other antagonist in this movie, who I actually think teams up with the alien, is that
cat.
fucking cat.
Yeah.
Because
Little
look
Jonesy.
look at it. Jonesy, he runs away. Always, everybody's off chasing around. Hey, where's the cat? Where's the cat? Oh, guess what? I just got killed by a fucking alien. Why did I get killed by an alien? Because I was chasing around the goddamn cat. They're in cahoots. The whole movie, they are in cahoots. Does the alien kill the cat? Anyone?
You might.
Nope. Sure doesn't.
Shit, you're right, because he's in the sequel.
Whole fucking film. Lures people away to get them one-on-one, and boom. Henry Dean Stanton's dead. Boom. Yaphet Kotto is dead. Boom.
So, Harry Dean Stanton was apparently really angry on set every day.
What?
Yeah, he was just like, these fucking B movies I'm acting in. I don't want to be in this shit, but I'll do the scenes anyways because I got to get paid. But he just didn't want to be there. But he was still like a nice guy to be around. He was just complaining the whole time.
Well, he was pretty awesome in the movie. But it kind of like it played to the character that he was. He just, he was there for a paycheck. That's his whole character.
Yeah, it's everybody in this movie, like nobody is a hero. That's the kind of cool thing about it. They're just kind of like blue collar workers. They're doing their mission and
yeah, they're miners.
Yeah, they talk shit to each other. They eat around the table like it's Thanksgiving every day, and they tell each other about what's going on, and they're real people.
Yeah, they're very relatable, and I think that's the thing that entrenches me in the movie every time I watch it, is that, the character development that you would normally have in a movie isn't really there, but you're able to connect to these real world type of people that, they just got done with the year's worth of mining and crap that they did. All they want to do is go home. And all of a sudden they get this broadcast signal and they're like, hey, let's go check that out. And everybody's like, no, let's fucking go home.
Yeah. So another fun fact about this movie, I just burped a little bit.
Yeah, you did. That was kind of disgusting. I think I smelled
it. I can smell it. I'm getting a hint of, is that mayonnaise and ketchup?
Lemon zest. Ketchup. It's disgusting. You said you just ate pizza. If you put ketchup on your pizza, I'm going to come out to Arizona and I'm going to slap you.
I don't eat ketchup. But anyways, so Ridley Scott, as you know, years later came out with his quote-unquote director's cut. But the reason why Alien was greenlit to begin with was because of the success of Star Wars. And after Star Wars came out, what is it, like, who released this? 20th Century Fox or...
I believe so.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, 20th Century Fox, when they released it, they were like, oh, sci-fi's in right now. It's going to be making money no matter what we make. So we'll give you, like, whatever amount of money for the budget and all that. And then they brought on Ridley Scott and basically gave him complete freedom to make whatever movie he wanted from start to finish with very little... changing of the script. Like, they changed some words and stuff from Dan O'Bannon's script and stuff like that. But they basically told Ridley Scott, make whatever the hell you want. And then he comes back 20 years later and changes it. Which is kind of weird, because if you're given almost complete freedom to make the movie you want, why go back and make changes later? It's kind of like going back and, like, changing every gun and Saving Private Ryan to a walkie-talkie or something like that.
That'd be kind of funny, though.
They did that in E.T. They changed all the guns to walkie-talkies.
I know. That's why it was funny.
Yeah. But, yeah, so it's just interesting that he'd go back 20 years later to change stuff in a movie that he basically had the freedom to make at the time.
Well, and I think it is very interesting to see that, because, I mean, not being in the own guy's, like, his mind or anything like that, not knowing how he sees things, seeing what he has now tried to create and do with the Alien franchise is unfortunately upsetting as a fan.
Oh, we'll get there.
But we will get there. But I think, I mean, he's the type of person that has a vision, and he's going to put forth the effort. And you know what? I would trust what he's doing too, because the guy is a legend. Ridley Scott is one of the best directors and storytellers of all time. He's
a legend now. But at the time, he only had, like, one film under his belt. He was basically a second-time director at this point.
No, like, and I know that.
He made a lot of, like, commercials and stuff like that look like movies. But this was like, hey, we're going to trust this dude with a lot of money to make a movie. Because he made a bunch of shorts and then a movie called The Duelist, 2 years before this.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they were just like, yeah, let's bring on this guy. He's a up-and-comer. He's going to do a good job.
And he did.
Yeah.
He knocked it out of the park.
I mean, it's no Gladiator, but it's pretty good.
I mean, it's not Prometheus, but it's Alien.
Yeah.
You had to start somewhere. Not anyone in this world can take a cast of 8, 9, possibly 10 people and turn it into a movie that will stand the test of time forever. Everything about this movie, every little intricacy, every moment leads up to that point where you finally see the alien and it scares the crap out of you every single time.
And then it starts tap dancing.
The chest burster, the face hugger, all of that. Just everything is so ominous and it gets you so emotionally attached to the television screen that you're watching it on or whatever. And it's like, boom, in your face. Boom, in your face. Quick cut to this. Quick cut to that.
Did you know that the chest burster scene was improvised by all the other actors except for John Hurt?
Because wasn't it like they all knew what was going to happen except for him?
No, they knew there was going to be an alien in the scene, but they didn't know where it was going to come from.
Gotcha. I knew there was something about it where he actually, they didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Which, coincidentally, I'll have a little tidbit of the god-awful movie I just watched the other day. But anyways, movie Alien, if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, my God, what the hell are you waiting for? I will literally buy you a copy. Send me a message if you know who I am, text me, whatever. I'll buy you a copy of the movie to watch it.
Honestly, I think you can pass on it. It's no Casablanca. Modern Times is such a better film.
I will hit you and not send you a Christmas card this year.
It's like the Day of the Dead to Contagion of the Alien franchise. Speaking of which,
anyways,
what did Brad give this one?
So Brad texted in. He or not texted because he doesn't text back, but his score is surprising. Actually, it's at 10 out of 10 for the movie Alien, 1979, Alien.
Nice.
And he said, yes, I love scrambled eggs too.
I don't think that's actually what he said.
I'm reading it right now. He said, I love scrambled eggs too. And he actually misspelled the word too. He said T-O, not T-O-O.
I have a feeling that you are reading a different conversation.
Nope. I sure am not.
Interesting.
Wait till we get to the next one.
Oh, you mean Aliens? My personal favorite of the series?
Which is unfortunate because here's something you may not know about me.
Do not say what you're about to say about this movie.
I'm just taking a drink because I'm abiding by your wish of not saying what you think I'm about to say about this movie.
Or it's going to be game over, man. Game over.
Game over, man. That's actually another thing about the movie Alien and Aliens, to kind of segue into the two of them. There are so many one-liners from the two of these movies that are repurposed and reused as a form of admiration, which I love to see in so many things science fiction related going forward.
Yeah.
That unless you've seen the movie a billion times, you don't catch up on all of them, and you're like, hey, that's cool.
There's a shit ton in StarCraft. We're in the pipe.
StarCraft 5x5. 1 and 2. There's a bunch. Yeah, in the pipe 5x5. Oh my God. Get me out of this chicken shit outfit.
Yeah.
It's great.
There's a whole bunch of them.
But anyways, so Aliens, which is
amazing.
A fantastic movie. I love it. I absolutely think it's great.
Honestly,
but
I think it's mostly great. Mostly.
Somebody had to make the joke first.
I was getting there somehow. That's my most quoted line from this movie. I'll just be walking around with friends or something if I had them, and I'd say oh, it's mostly dark out. Mostly.
See, and you just kind of ruined it because we'll circle back to it. But yeah, let's throw in Brad's review real quick. Aliens, 10 out of 10. Obviously, surprise, surprise.
Because this movie's amazing.
He said, I like this movie mostly.
At least
Damn
that's a good one. He's got a sense of humor.
You ruined it. But anyways, yes, this is definitely my top movies as well. But
I love this movie. It's great.
But there's a pretty big one.
Just get it over with.
Is I actually think that this film should be viewed as its own separate franchise.
I'm okay with that.
Even though it takes place in the same spectrum,
no, because it's an action film.
All that,
it's completely different.
Yes, it is a completely different movie. It's not a horror movie. No. It's more of an action sci-fi movie. So they're two completely different sides of the spectrum, sharing the same sort of, obviously the aliens itself, but the characters and everything like that. That it's just. It's not comparable to be the same type of movie. So to me, it's not a sequel. It's just a different variation of showcasing the destructive capabilities of aliens.
Yeah, it's just a fun kind of popcorn film. It's just one of those movies that it's so easy for anybody to sit down and watch it. You don't have to go into it with any sort of understanding of what the previous film was. It just, as you said, it does really stand on its own. You can go in there, relate to all the new characters, understand the struggle of the character who woke up in this pod, and it's 57 years in the future, and she knows that her daughter's older than her at this point, and it's all very relatable from the very start. It does a very good job of summing up the past movie in the first 15 minutes, and then completely disregarding all of it.
Yeah, and it forges its own path, which is great, because James Cameron, again, is another fantastic director, fantastic storyteller, and he's telling his own story based in that same world. And I think that's the correct way to do it. Don't try and pick up right where Ridley Scott fell off and try and remake the same movie, which continues to happen in the modern age, where people are like, oh, yeah, let's remake this classic movie, and we're going to try and make it the same way, and it's going to be spooky and scary, and then it turns out to be dog shit.
How do you feel about Neil Blomkamp? Probably not going to be doing it anymore, but he was in talks to making a sequel to Aliens. Alien 3 and 4 never happened.
It's still on the table, and I'm actually very excited about it, because I've liked all of his movies. Yeah. And again, he's got a very unique, everything about every movie I've watched of his has been
and the short
unique.
Films.
I haven't watched any of his short films. Ooh. I probably should.
Yeah, he's got a couple.
I truly respect every movie I've seen. District 9 was great. Elysium was fantastic. I actually really, really liked that movie. And Chappie, as weird and strange as it was, it has, it's great. Yeah, it's fun. A great movie to watch.
Chappie? I'm Chappie.
Yeah. It's just, it's bonkers, but
yeah.
I like it. Time. I like every movie, and when he got tied into that, and I think he's got that same perspective that it's, he's making a sequel to Aliens. He's not making another, part of the franchise, because it is Aliens still is its own kind of thing.
Well, he's making the fan version that we all kind of deep down wanted, because I know we're going to move on to it.
Because we want to see what happens.
Yeah,
we never
Jonesy
get to really
the cat
see what happens.
Is just left on that ship to die.
Yeah.
The villain from the first movie, who just so happens to live in the second movie, is now just sitting, drifting away.
The one villain, yes.
But
there were many eggs back on that planet. Many eggs, not just one. They're just waiting, biding their time.
And with all those thousands and thousands of eggs waiting,
endless amount.
We get one alien in the next movie.
But to get to the next movie, as much, and this is, again, I know you don't share my opinion on it, but I actually really like this movie as well, because this, to me, Alien 3 is the sequel to the movie Alien. The proper horror-style sequel, because it tries to, And I do say tries because I know that David Fincher went through a lot of crap to set this movie up the way he wanted to, and there was a shit ton of studio interference, which always turns out to be a bad time. But the attempt to make a movie that was just as chilling, thrilling, and the horror style that the original was, I'll stand by my belief that I actually do enjoy watching this movie.
You know, I will say that was a pretty good summary for a human.
Jesus.
You see what I did there?
I do. I seen it.
It's an Aliens reference.
Oh, I get it.
It's from the movie.
I've seen it. But anyways, yeah, I mean, the movie itself is pretty bad. It was nominated for an Oscar, though. So
wait, we're on Alien 3 now, right?
Alien 3 was nominated for an Oscar, Best Visual Effects, I believe.
I feel like
Best Effects, Visual Effects. Yep.
Rewatching it, I do appreciate that the film tries to take because I rewatched the theatrical version. I hate the director's cut.
Yep.
But I do appreciate that the film tried to go straight back to being kind of dark. Like, Newt's dead. They cut open her body. Find nothing. Just want to make sure there's no alien. Find Bishop. Plug him back in. It's all very morbid. Like, all those characters that you love from the last movie, it's like, fuck that. They're dead. This movie's really bleak in that aspect, and that's kind of cool about it. The thing that really falls for me is like towards the second half of the movie, after the alien kind of like spews out from the dog and all that, which is all still kind of cool, and it starts turning into almost like a slasher film. But it gets so dumb once they know that the alien's there, when the alien like attacks them in the mess hall and it like kills the dude in the vent or whatever, and they're all just like, oh shit, there is an alien. Let's make a plan to stop it. And they're all just like bumbling and dumb, and I don't know, it just gets really kind of convoluted. And then she has an alien inside of her, and they're like, oh, we have to kill you eventually because you got this alien in you. And then they have the people fly in from the Weyland Corporation, and it's Lance Hendrickson, and he wants to take the alien back because they want to study it and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, who fucking cares? They're taking away the simplicity of the first two movies and putting it down this road that eventually leads to like Prometheus and all that, where it's just convoluted stories that aren't really necessary.
No, and I can totally agree with that. And I think one of the biggest problems that I had with this movie is that outside of like the characters that I know, or not the characters, but the actors that I know from other films, I can't tell most of these dudes apart. Like they've all got the same, and I understand they got the shaved heads because they made that one comment like, oh, we got a problem with lice, so we're going to have to shave your head. Now everybody's got a shaved head. But like almost every single one of these dudes looks exactly the fucking same. And I can't tell.
Except for one.
Half the time I'm like, didn't that guy just die? And I feel like he did, but they're just like, oh, bad editing. All of a sudden this dude's back alive. Like, what the fuck happened with that?
There's only one dude that stands out in this movie because he stands out in every single movie that he's in. Just because he's got that face. And that's Pete...
Charles Dance.
No, Pete Postlethwaite. I probably mispronounced that.
Yeah, that guy.
From The Usual Suspects and Jurassic Park: The Lost World. That dude's awesome. And I love seeing him in everything.
He's fantastic. I can't believe it's actually been 7 years since that guy passed away.
Yeah, he was in... I think The Town was one of his last movies.
Yep, he was in The Town. He had a brief part in Inception. Usual Suspects. I mean, obviously,
he was
fucking Kobayashi. But he's one of those guys that he's in so many different movies, and he's just memorable. He's a bit character, kind of like what is his name? John Hawkes, I think.
John Hawkes. Who's John?
Yeah, John Hawkes. You know who John Hawkes is. See, that's the name that you don't know off the top of your head.
Yeah, I know John Hawkes.
You look at him, you're like, that guy.
I know that guy.
Just
he's in
great
Winter's
actors that are so different and fantastic in every role that they play, and it's like those types of people need more recognition in the filmmaking industry.
Weren't you in a play in high school? Yeah, A Winter's Tale. Oh yeah, what was the name of it? A Winter's Tale.
Yeah, Yes.
That's a franchise we got to do. Is the Cornetto trilogy.
We could.
Oh my god.
We could do that. Spoiler for a few months from now, maybe.
Yeah, probably years, because we got a bunch of stuff lined up.
Damn! But anyways...
Not that anybody listening actually is paying attention.
It's not the general consensus of this movie, but I actually thoroughly enjoy it.
I don't.
For some strange reason.
I enjoyed it so little that I actually wrote down no notes for it this week.
Wow. I mean, I didn't write down any notes either because I'm lazy, but...
well.
I don't know. I like it. I like the movie. I'll stand by it.
I like it a lot.
But the really cool thing about this franchise so far is every single director that has directed one of these films is an absolute legend.
Yeah.
And
Sigourney Weaver's in all of them.
Show me a better lineup of 3 directors.
Well, no, 4. You may not know the work of the next director, but he made some really terrific films.
Well, we haven't gotten to that movie yet. You're fucking jumping ahead.
Yeah, just well, you said 3, and you offended me. I'm being triggered right now by your leaving out Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Anyways,
look at this dude's IMDb picture.
Hang on, no, we don't want to.
Look up Jean-Pierre's IMDb picture. The dude is surprised by your response right now. Of leaving him out. Look at him.
Looking. Oh, yep.
He's pretty freaking surprised.
Pretty surprised. But I was getting to you, Jean-Pierre, so hang on just a second. So to get back real quick to Alien 3, to wrap up, a great movie that most people don't think is a great movie. They actually think it's a bad movie. So Brad, his review score here, surprisingly, 10 out of 10 for Alien 3.
I disagree.
And he said, I liked the video game version.
There's a video game version of Alien 3?
Yeah, it's actually pretty badass. So I agree with Brad on that one. I totally agree. It was like, I want to say it was Super Nintendo.
What?
Yeah. We used to get that 5 for 5 deal when we were kids. You go to the video store with $5, you get 5 rentals for 5 days. Alien 3 was probably rented quite a few times by the Moravec household. I don't know if you were actually like...
When you went to rent them, did they always say, we're in the pipe, 5 by 5?
They did not, actually.
That'd be pretty funny if they did.
But the movie store we used to go to, I think it was called Randall Video, they used to have a ball pit, and you would play in the ball pit while we went and picked out movies and video games to watch.
I do not remember this.
Well, you were a baby, so that's what babies do.
Is not remember things because they're stupid.
Yes. I was going with ball pits, but yeah. Oh,
babies do like playing with balls.
One thing I really love about older movies are their movie posters, and I just came across it. But Alien 3's movie poster, topped by nothing. The tagline is 3 times the suspense, 3 times the danger, 3 times the terror.
But
and it should say underneath that, when the studio gets overly involved in the creation of movies.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because then they did come back with the director's cut, and it's even worse. Because they were so involved in it, that David Fincher apparently, like, every single day on set was having a mental breakdown because they were just, like,
I can understand,
telling him what he needed to do this, do that, do this. When if they learned anything from the first 2 movies, because I'm pretty sure that James Cameron had complete freedom too. I didn't look it up enough to know.
Oh, I'm sure he did. He did.
The first 2 movies were made off of complete freedom. And they became classics. Alien 3, they're like, oh, we know how to make a good movie. No, you fucking don't. When has it ever worked that the studio has been like, hey, we're going to tell you exactly how to make your movie, when to make your cut, what dialogue you should use, because this is what hits. And it works out every time. Outside of the Marvel movies, because they keep making more and more money, but it's the same movie repeated again and again and again. When does that work?
That's very true.
It doesn't. And then what happens when movies like Paranormal Activity or Get Out come out? Oh, it's something new. But wow, people actually want to see it because it's something new. And look at that. Get Out got nominated for like 15 billion Oscars. The Shape of Water is another one of those like kind of weird movies, but he probably had to fight for it for a while. But still, another weird movie that you really wouldn't expect. It's a love story between the creature from the Black Lagoon and a mute woman. But boom.
Well, I mean, to be fair though, name one other director or storyteller who could have pulled that off. Just write down what you just said. The Creature from the Black Lagoon,
yes.
and basically a sexual relationship with a mute woman.
Yes.
You name me one other director who could have pulled that off.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Oh my God, get the fuck out of here. There's no way anyone other than Guillermo del Toro would have been able to pull that off.
But if Guillermo del Toro wasn't established and didn't make the Hellboy movies and Pacific Rim before making that, do you think the studio would have trusted him to make it?
No, absolutely not.
And that's the sad part, because that dude made Pan's Labyrinth before he made all those other films, and Devil's Backbone and Mimic and a bunch of other great movies.
And I feel terrible
Chronos,
still admitting to it, but I've never actually seen Pan's Labyrinth yet.
Pan's Labyrinth is probably one of my favorite movies. I absolutely adore that movie. And I remember seeing it in theaters because Brad took me to see it, and he said, yeah, it's going to be like the movie Labyrinth with David Bowie. And I was like, I love that movie. Let's go see it. And it was nothing like the movie Labyrinth with David Bowie. But it was still a fantastic fucking movie because my mind was racing before seeing it because I was like, oh, this is going to be cool, like an updated version of the movie.
See another guy with a huge codpiece.
A huge-ass codpiece throwing babies in the air with the power of voodoo.
Yeah.
Voodoo, you do.
And I was expecting that. Soundtrack to back it up.
It does. But I was expecting that, so my mind was racing like, what could this movie be? And it was the complete opposite, but it still played with this fairy tale aspect to it with these adult themes. And it just created a truly just beautiful experience that's very tragic in the end. And it's just a fantastic movie, and I highly recommend watching it.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's a movie that I'm very excited to watch. I know that it's in another language, though, so I have to make sure I have
just
the time
watch it
to
dubbed.
focus in on it, which is fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just you have to have a certain type of appreciation and time to invest in watching the movie correctly.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, that I think you're missing, and it did not come out of your mouth, but I think the reason why Guillermo del Toro gets that type of respect and ability to create movies his way,
Doug Jones.
He could throw out any sort of script that he could come up with and people would back him, is because of Blade 2, actually.
I know you're maybe making a joke right now.
That would be the tipping point for me,
I
because I would
really
sit
like
back
that
and
movie.
think, hey, I don't know if anybody could pull this off unless it was the director of Blade 2.
Dude.
And then in walks Guillermo del Toro, and you're like, you got it.
He's
Whatever
always,
you want,
with his big
you
smiling
got it.
face, just being a nerd, just like, hey guys,
He's
I can make your movie for
pitch
you.
the script and the story, and it's like, nope, you made Blade 2. You can have whatever you want.
Do you like Blade 2? Because it sounds like you're being
Yes!
sarcastic. Okay,
No,
good, because I love that
It's
movie.
fucking great.
It's got Norman Reedus blowing himself up. How can you
Yep.
not like it?
And nobody can't. The
And
movie is
Donnie
fantastic.
Yen with a samurai sword.
It also has the star of the next movie that we're going to be talking about,
Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Ron Perlman,
Hey!
making it his first appearance. Did you know that this was his first appearance in the Alien franchise?
Believe it or not, he actually played the alien in one scene in the movie
Nope.
Aliens.
He did not.
No,
You
he
are
didn't.
a
I just
liar.
made that up.
You are a terrible liar.
So, I know that Alien 3 is obviously my least favorite of the series. Well, I shouldn't say that. Alien Covenant is, but we'll get to that later. But Alien 3 is, when I think of the series, I think of the 4 movies. But I always notice, like, growing up, everybody I see online, or not everybody, but a lot of people online, a lot of people I've talked to hate Alien Resurrection. I was even rewatching it with a friend of mine back home, and he was like, oh no, this movie sucks. And I'm like, dude, give it another chance. It's not as bad as you remember. Because I personally love Alien Resurrection. It was one of the first ones I saw scenes from as a kid. So it's what I kind of like connect with the Alien franchise. And when I go back and rewatch it, I always just have a really fun time. And I love that stupid little alien at the end that looks like a Down syndrome albino who ends up like eating Brad Dourif's head and doing all this like weird shit in the movie and then gets sucked out into space and all that. Like everything in this movie is just silly and fun and over the top, and it doesn't take itself seriously whatsoever. It's got this kind of like quirky narrative voice to it, which is from the director Jean-Pierre Jeunet, director of such films as Delicatessen and Amelie, which I both highly recommend. He brings his own voice and style to the Alien franchise. And if you've seen his other movies, it's very apparent that this guy made this movie, which is really cool about it. But when you watch it from its own kind of alien movie perspective, it also kind of fits in, but it doesn't fit in whatsoever. So I understand why it's hated, but I don't agree with the fact that it's hated.
Yeah, and I feel like it's hated because it's misunderstood. Again, yes. you're kind of leading up to trying to replicate, duplicate, whatever about the Alien franchise when you start off so well in Alien 1, it's like you can't get better than that.
No.
So James Cameron created a completely different movie, which is just as great in its own way. Alien 3 kind of brings back that horror feel to it.
Yeah, it tries to
again,
be. It tries to
still
repeat
appreciate
itself.
and love about that movie, but Alien Resurrection was like the first kind of just, hey, this is a summer blockbuster movie, which I think actually it came out in like November. But it's just that whole, like, it's that popcorn movie feel where you can watch it again and again and again, and it's, I mean, the humor is there. I wouldn't say that there's anything scary about this movie, but you get that kind of next-gen feel for the Alien where, the CGI is a little bit better, so it's a little bit creepier when they're swimming around in the water and stuff like that. You definitely get a gross-out factor with all the different variations of Ripley that have gone on over the course of the years, which is really gross on some of them.
Kill me.
But, yeah, and then you've got, that just grotesque, nasty, nude alien at the end that actually has, like, saggy titties, and it was supposed to have genitals, one of each kind, but they had to chop those off because I think
I wonder why.
What is it? Crap,
MPAA.
now I can't think of it. But the screeners, the people who make you change shit, said that we're not gonna go with that. But
so you have the director, the French director's like, you know what this movie needs? A hermaphroditic Down syndrome albino alien.
Saggy titties.
That's
what this franchise needs.
Great.
But I think one of my favorite people in this movie is
Brad
actually
Dourif and him licking glass.
What?
Brad Dourif, the guy who does the voice for Chucky.
Say Chucky.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there like licking glass.
He's licking glass. He's trying to make out with
just
aliens.
Doing stupid
he's
shit.
Just being creepy.
Yeah, and then he shows up at the end of the movie all cocooned. He's like, he's coming. Oh, isn't it beautiful? The baby.
He's great. He pulls the whole movie together. He's fantastic.
That dude's seriously like one of my favorite character actors. Ever since he was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and then the Lord of the Rings movies, Chucky. He has an amazing role in like Exorcist 3. He just always pops up in a bunch of shit. And he's a character that, like we talked about in one of the previous episodes, like if you're not a movie fan, you'll recognize him, but you won't know who he is. And you won't appreciate what he does.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we were just saying about Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah, him too.
I hate that I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but there are actually so many other character actors in this movie. Leyland Orser, the guy who plays the guy who they sort of find, the one that was supposed to be, he was the cargo, and he kind of like wakes up and he's like, get this fucking thing. What's this fucking thing inside me or whatever?
Yeah,
he starts shouting.
He has the alien
that
pop
guy's
out of his chest.
fantastic.
Yeah, he's from
great
Seven.
In Seven.
He's the dude who's hyperventilating and all that.
Yep, he was the guy who had the knife penis. But anyways, we can get to that movie maybe sometime in the future.
But he's also
Michael Wincott.
He's also most known for Daredevil with Ben Affleck.
Who was?
Leland Orser, according to IMDb.
What?
Yeah, he's most known for his Daredevil from 2003.
It's like not even in that movie.
But this movie also has Raymond Cruz, who plays Tuco Salamanca in Breaking Bad. Yep. That dude's awesome. That dude is great.
He's fantastic as well. Michael Wincott, who I was just saying, who was the he was one of the bad guys in the Robin Hood movie with Kevin Costner back in the day.
I know what guy you're talking about.
First see him as like being that sort of creepy, just bad guy, and then Dan Hedaya is in it as well. Again, a guy you'll see in many different movies. Usual Suspects, he was in there. It's just a great kind of cast of like character actors.
Yeah, and you have the Dominic Pignon guy, who is the guy in the wheelchair, who's in all of the Jean-Pierre movies.
He makes that stupid-ass joke.
What were you expecting? Santa Claus?
No, what has 2 thumbs, a pink tongue, and makes this face? And has a big cock. Like, what? What has 2 thumbs, a pink tongue, and has a really big cock? Who? The guy who makes this face, and then he makes that face. It's funny. It's funny.
That dude's great. Who else we got? We got Winona Ryder before she went batshit crazy.
Jeez. Hey, her child, got taken by the Never Never. I mean, give her a break.
Oh, I thought you were talking about, something that really happened to her. I was like, oh, I kind of feel bad.
No.
No, it was just drugs.
She's rebounded. She's fine.
She was in Frankenweenie. She can handle it.
She's great, but she's a great actress.
Oh, I love her. The movie Heathers is a movie that I recommend to everybody I talk to.
And Girl Interrupted is really good as well.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, it's really good. You should watch it.
Let's not forget that this movie also has Sigourney Weaver.
It does. She's surprise, surprise. An alien movie has.
She's really good.
She takes on a different feel though to the character. She kind of has that whole.
She's like a replica.
She's very instinctual rather than the thought out character that she was, and I think that that's a cool way to see the 2 sides of the spectrum of her acting abilities. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but her best role ever was probably Galaxy Quest. Because that movie is amazing.
It's either that or what's that movie called? The Ice Harvest?
What? I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
Ice Harvest? She was in Chappie.
Oh, no, not the Ice Harvest.
About that.
Oh my god, what the hell is the name of this movie?
Is it WALL-E, where she was the ship's computer? She was great in that.
No, it's an Ang Lee film. We had to study it when I was in school. We reread the script.
The Ice Storm?
Yeah, The Ice Storm. She's really good in that one too, actually.
I don't know if I've ever heard of it.
It's a good-ass movie. She got nominated for a Golden Globe, apparently. Yeah.
What else is she in? I mean, I feel like we've covered pretty much all of the top movies she's ever been in.
Well, she was in Alien, and she was in Aliens.
But, I mean, I feel like there's no other,
Alien 3.
If she was in, a movie with some sort of, paranormal thing, I think I would remember that, because I usually like those types of movies. But, yeah, I think we've pretty much covered all the movies that Sigourney Weaver's been in.
She's going to be in Avatar 2 in 2020. She's going to be in Avatar 3 in 2021. Avatar 4 in 2024 and Avatar 5 in 2025.
Well, I guess we know in those movies her character's not dying off. She's going to be on the bill for freaking 20 years.
They could have
I feel like, we've covered her whole thing. There's no other
She was in Futurama?
For a second.
What?
But yeah, there's no other, paranormal type of movies that she's. No, come on.
Ghostbusters 2.
You weren't supposed to say it. That was the joke.
I know where you're going with that. I had to ruin it.
But anyways, yeah. Great movie. I like it. Most people don't, but I like it.
Well, what did Brad say about it?
Oh yeah, Brad's review is right here. He gave it a 10 out of 10. So that's very nice. And he said.
There is no Cujo, only Zool.
Oh my god, that would have made it amazing movie. Yeah, he said I don't fucking know what he said. I got nothing for this movie. Ron Perlman was Sapphire-ish.
What?
That's what he said. Direct translation.
It's like he's not even trying with these reviews right now.
I don't know. I don't appreciate the fact that he's not putting 110% in like we are.
I do like that he liked it. That's kind of cool.
He did. 10 out of 10 is good. That's pretty standard for him, I think.
Ooh, a quick fun fact about this movie. Before we move on to...
Is it everything?
No. The behind the back shot when Sigourney Weaver throws the ball and makes the shot. She actually did that. I'm
curious to know what you think you're about to say about this, because I bet you it's not right.
She actually made that shot. And Ron Perlman was like...
she did.
Whoa.
But do you know how many... It took her a lot of attempts.
Oh, yeah. No, it wasn't the first try.
But she practiced it and practiced it and practiced it. And then she had to do it on screen. They wanted to use a double. They were like, we got to do this. And then eventually on, like, the last one, she did it. And Ron Perlman's reaction is legit.
He's like, whoa.
Holy shit. And he actually turned to the camera. They had to cut it out. But he was like, holy shit. She did it.
She finally gets it, and Ron Perlman ruins it.
Yeah. What a jerk.
Fucking Ron Perley. You know what? When I die and I go up to heaven, I hope I make it to the Ron Perley gates. I'll be here all night. So let's move on to Alien Covenant. Or no, let's talk about Prometheus for like 2 minutes.
Briefly talk about Prometheus, as one of my friends likes to call it. I have so many problems with this movie, I don't know where to begin. We probably shouldn't begin.
What about the vagina monsters?
It's unfortunately...
The little monsters with vaginas for faces?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bunch of that.
There's a whole bunch of that.
But I
wonder if it's symbolic.
It's a watcher... Like, the hard part is it's a watchable movie where you can get through it. Like, it's watchable. It's got suspense. It's got action.
When I first saw it, I actually really enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was a great movie. And then I watched it again. And then I watched it again. And then I watched it for a fourth time, and I was like, wow. I don't give a shit about this movie anymore at all.
I think it would be so much better if it didn't have anything to do with the Alien franchise. Like, if it was just its own independent, like, sort of wannabe movie, I think I would like it that much more. But
well, it really didn't. It was just like, oh, this is like the same universe, but it has nothing to do with the Alien franchise. Until they brought it up at the very last second. They had the ship, I know that.
I think going into it, you kind of, like, know it, so you kind of feel like, you know, all of the cues are there, like the little urns, the little face hugger thingy. I mean, like, the wannabe aspect of it was they were trying to make a prequel to the movie, and that's the part that I have a problem with, because the prequel ruined it, because it's just, again, it's not a horror movie, which Alien was. It's just the nonsensical, we're trying to cram as much, like, prequel information as we can into this movie, even though most of the shit doesn't make sense. Well, we got these engineers, and they got, like, big giant foreheads and big giant noses, and it's like blah, 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 blah. Well, that's fucking stupid.
My thing with that, because I've studied a lot with, like, horror films, and I've read a few books and stuff like that. I consider myself an expert. Not really an expert, but... The thing that made a lot of the films from the 70s in particular very effective was because the filmmakers at the time were kind of reacting to the Vietnam War, where a lot of people were left in the dark. So a lot of the films of the time were left in the dark. The monsters didn't make sense. There was no motive, and everything was meant to be nihilistic and bleak. And that's what made those movies truly effective, because it's like, why is Jaws doing it? It's just a shark and it's hungry.
Yeah.
What's this alien?
Where did the alien come from? It doesn't matter because it's the unknown.
Who knows?
Everyone fears the unknown.
Why is Michael Myers killing his sister?
Because you don't know it's coming.
Yeah. Why did Michael Myers stab his sister to death? He just went crazy. He's just pure evil.
Exactly.
Like, that's what made these movies work.
Well, he was a pedophile. He got burned. Well, now he's killing people.
But
why does he keep killing people? Who cares?
The thing is, as time progresses and time moves on, specifically with sequels, as you were saying earlier, they try to explain more and more and more. But the problem with today's standards is they treat their audiences like they're dumb, or they treat them like they can't handle not knowing anything. Because the biggest complaint that most people have about movies is the ending didn't make sense. Like, what happened? I want to know what happens in the ending. And it's like, you don't always need to know what happens at the ending, but people listen to that and they want to make their movies more relatable to the crowd and kind of build off of this idea of everything needs to have a motive. Like, the Halloween remake, Michael Myers was abused as a child and he was picked on at school, so he started torturing animals, and it's like, who fucking gives a shit?
Didn't need it.
And then now we get into Prometheus, and more specifically, Alien Covenant. And my biggest issue with Alien Covenant was the fact that they put a god complex behind all of the aliens being created. I thought that was the dumbest fucking thing. Not just because it's part of a franchise that I enjoy, not just because of that, but because it was a stupid execution on its own merits, because we're looking at these movies individually. It just was so convoluted and unnecessary of a way to explain everything going on in this movie. And they had to walk your hand through it. So they had to show that he became God when he realized he could wipe out life on this planet and start creating his own life. Oh, wow, this robot's discovering these things about becoming this being, this Ozymandias character who looks out into the sands and sees what was once created, the empire that was once there, and he wants to recreate that empire and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, it's just so fucking stupid.
Yeah, it gave too much explanation to something that didn't need to be explained. Because the reason why the alien would freak us out is because you don't know where it came from. You don't know why it's there. You could care less. All I know is it goes around killing people. It scares the crap out of me.
What this movie should have been, it should have just been called Fassbender Squared, and Michael Fassbender should have just played flute and made out with himself the whole movie.
Completely glossed over Prometheus. But the only saving grace from Prometheus, I think, is Michael Fassbender. And some of the other characters are actually pretty well acted out. I think Idris Elba did a great job. I thought, a few other actors were actually pretty good in the movie.
I like the leading lady in Prometheus. I have to look up her name.
Noomi Rapace? I think she's awful.
What?
I unfortunately don't like her. I'm sorry.
Thought she was good in this
I would apologize to her face if I ever had the chance to meet her, but it's not for me. I'm sorry. It's just not for me.
Well, I gotta disagree with you on that one.
And that's fine. I totally respect yours and everyone else's opinion about it.
So,
it's just not for me.
So the best part of Alien Covenant, outside of Michael Fassbender, though, was
is Michael Fassbender, because he's two actors, he's two characters. Did you see what I did there?
Yes.
There's two of them. And they're
so
both
other than Michael Fassbender squared, it's Danny McBride playing Tennessee.
He's playing Tennessee.
That dude is awesome.
A character where he was absolutely astonished that he got that role.
Yes, he was.
He's like, I thought I was going to be some asshole and get killed off in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
And he lives the whole film.
He lives. Spoiler alert, but he lives because he's Danny McBride.
He lasted a lot longer in this movie than James Franco, who lasted about 10 seconds.
He basically got reduced to a cameo.
He did. He just died in the opening scene and showed up in a picture later.
Yep. He did. But I do think that the David that originated in Prometheus was creepy. It was creepy because you knew kind of what happened with Ash. You kind of felt like it was coming, and he sort of swayed into that's cynical sort of sense. But the David in Alien Covenant stole the show because he was so fucking creepy. Yeah. And Walter was the perfect opposite because he was there to balance the equation. But eventually, what the hell happened? Did he just okay, hey, go ahead and kill these people. Now I understand what you're saying. Because Walter's not gone. Nothing kind of happened to him. There was no ending to that scenario. Did Walter become David? Ooh.
Oh, because you're saying he can't best him because he's the older model?
No, I was just thinking maybe David changed Walter's mind and Walter became a version of David. Maybe he was just all of a sudden it clicked and he was like, you know what? I'm going to kill these fuckers too.
Well,
don't know.
No, because...
See, I had to kind of make my own story up because this movie was so bad.
You're talking about the ending, right?
Yeah.
No, you notice that he has scars on him, and the Walter model is able to heal those scars. So it is the David model. That's kind of like the big reveal.
He's only able to heal those scars if he wants to, because earlier in the film he was stapling his face together.
I'm not going to get into the semantics of it. Let's just talk
I'm just saying. I kind of created my own subplot because this movie.
Let's just talk about that flute scene
bad.
when he puts the flute up to the mouth and goes, "You blow, I'll do the fingering." Gentle pleasure on the holes.
And then when Michael Fassbender makes out with himself, I mean, could anybody in the world be more jealous of that scenario?
So normally, I'm really angry when I go to movies and somebody is talking the entire time. So when I saw this movie in theaters, I had two people sitting next to me talking the entire time, but they started going gay during that scene, and it actually kind of enhanced it in the moment.
That's pretty funny because it's like, I'm not making this up. That's exactly what I thought in my head.
They just went gay. Normally, I'd be really pissed, but I thought that was kind of funny.
Ken Jeong from Community was playing in my head.
Yeah. But this movie, it's not all bad. I do really like the little monkey freaks.
It's all bad.
No, the little monkey freaks, like when the aliens start popping out and they burst out of the dude's back.
Oh, the back bursters.
Yeah, and they're like ripping off people's jaws and like just fucking shit up. I thought that was a really cool scene.
Okay, yeah, the jaw one was... I appreciated that kill. Like, because I was like, oh my god, he's got a face off.
Yeah.
Like, his face just got torn off.
Yeah, he got fucked up. But yeah, like that entire section of the movie I thought was really cool. All the way to like the ship blowing up, and then they're all just kind of stranded, and they run into the David character. And there was some stuff in the beginning that I thought was kind of weird.
Where the fuck did David get that body from? Yeah, I think I said that at least 17 times throughout the movie.
No, that, like, when they get to an alien planet, and the first thing they do is go down without any protection whatsoever. Because that makes sense.
They had sensors of, like, knowing that it was a habitable planet, and the oxygen levels and stuff like that. It's technology, bro.
But yeah, but what do they do? They start messing with everything. And then, of course, like, oh, this is getting in the air. There's something in the air tonight.
I feel like it's just technology.
That's just dumb.
I feel like it's technology.
I feel like it's pretty dumb.
They just cut it now.
I actually forgot where I was going with that.
Well, you probably weren't going anywhere, just like the plot of this movie. Oh!
Zing. Do you think they're going to make more?
They're going to make at least one more.
Damn.
Because I do believe Mr. Scott said that he wanted to make a new sort of trilogy. So yeah, I think but I'm not sure if it's going to get off the ground because the reviews and stuff from this last one were pretty subpar.
No, they were actually good. A lot of people like this one.
They were pretty subpar.
He also said in an interview, Ridley Scott did, that he will never go back to using practical effects. And I feel like that is the worst decision of his career because the aliens and a lot of the stuff in this movie just don't look good.
Yeah, it's not... It loses that, like, it's not scary. It's just a CGI, monster like anything else. And that's what I said in the trailers, and that's why... I mean, it took me up to just 2 days ago to finally watch this movie.
And I tried to warn you.
It came out last year. But I knew from that trailer and seeing that CGI craptastic alien, and I just not interested. My favorite franchise of movies of all time, and I didn't even want to go see this movie.
I have to respect filmmakers like Tarantino and oh my god, why am I forgetting his name? Christopher Nolan, because they really use minimal, if any, CGI throughout their films because they understand that the human eye will pick up on things that are fake and it'll take you out of the experience of watching movies, which is why I can't stand watching most Marvel films. And I don't like when somebody tries to trick you into thinking something's real when your mind obviously knows it's not real. Looking at a rubber monster, your brain knows that it's rubber, but it knows that it's tangible in reality. So that's why a person in a rubber suit can be freaky, because your mind knows that it's actually real, even though it's not a real thing. Whereas if you're looking at a computer-generated creature, Your body, your mind knows that that's not a real thing. It just knows by the way it moves that it's not real. So you're never going to believe it. You're always going to be out of it. And it bugs the shit out of me when I see that in movies when it's used unnecessarily. When it's used to enhance things, that's one thing. But when it's used as your central storytelling device, I feel like that's a shame for filmmaking in general.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that you're 100% spot on. But I will say that
Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. I think that there's to an extent where if you're going into a movie wanting to see something a little bit more realistic or like a horror movie to me can't use CGI because CGI is not going to scare me. It's just not. It won't do it. I'll just laugh at it because it looks stupid. And it's kind of playing on everything you just said. But to me, some of the Marvel movies, most of them, are actually thoroughly enjoyable because I read the comic books so much as a kid where the CGI of it is part of the joke. I don't know if you've actually seen Thor Ragnarok,
no.
But that movie was freaking hilarious. Like, because the CGI was so stupid and crazy and just off the rails, but that's part of, like, the comic book experience. So to me, it's a little bit different. But I understand, like, everything that you're saying about, you know, like a legit movie like Alien Covenant using predominantly CGI is just, you can't classify that as a horror movie to me. It's not scary. It's just,
I guess I should
dumb.
rephrase a little bit. I'm not saying that the Marvel movies are bad by any means because they are technically some of the best movies being made nowadays from like a technical standpoint on almost every aspect, writing, everything about them. But I personally just don't give a shit. Like I don't connect with any of them because they're the same kind of cookie cutter thing. And then it's just so happens that they're plastered with all these visual effects that are meant to like stimulate your brain, kind of like the comic books used to do for a lot of children growing up. So I get that. What I mean is just people in general using it for their own storytelling device when it's not necessary. So for the Marvel movies, It might be necessary for their world to make it look all kind of cheesy and overly cinematic, and I get that. But when it's used in a movie like Alien Covenant as its central storytelling device when it's not necessary, it's just dumb. And it's not necessary, and it just takes me personally completely out of the movie.
I got it.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. Rant over.
Rant over.
What did Brad have to say about Covenant?
Brad's score, actually for Prometheus, because we skipped it.
He didn't. We weren't supposed to watch it, so why did he send in a review? That's weird.
He sent in a review because I got a pretty good joke about it. So he said, unsurprisingly, a 10 out of 10 for Prometheus. And
I'm surprised by that.
He said, I like the engineers. I have a big nose too.
I don't think he actually said that.
No, he did.
No.
He totally did. And then Alien Covenant, again, 10 out of 10. Unsurprising.
That's kind of
coming from him. But 10 out of 10. And he said, that's kind of translates a little bit wrong, but he said Kenny Powers for life.
Yeah, buddy. Sick reference, bro. Have you ever seen Vice Principals?
No, I haven't, but I heard it was pretty funny.
You should watch Vice Principals. It's just Walton Goggins and Danny McBride tripping on acid and running a school.
Walton Goggins is probably one of my favorite character actors of all time.
That dude is awesome. But we talked about him last time.
We did. Because he was in Predators with an S. So it's sequels.
Kind of like Aliens was a sequel to Alien.
Anyways, like so I think that's pretty much covering just about everything that we were supposed to talk about.
You should check your Buschetti. It's turned into worms. What the hell? My spaghetti just turned into worms. What's going on here? You don't like your Buschetti?
I don't even have any idea what you're talking about.
What we do in the shadows, bro. Get on my level.
We do in the shadows.
What we do in the shadows. You've never heard of that?
Touch ourselves?
Well, besides that, it's a mockumentary from the Flight of the Conchords guys.
Oh, those stupid guys.
Yeah, and they make a movie about being vampires.
Okay, so here's a fun fact for you, sir. The writer, director, and one of the stars of that stupid movie was directing Thor Ragnarok. So you should go watch it because it's funny as balls.
Which one?
Taika Waititi.
He made Thor Ragnarok or directed it?
Yeah, he directed it. Yeah.
Huh.
So you should go watch it. You're welcome. I guarantee you it's unlike any Marvel movie you've ever seen, and you will enjoy it.
I don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy was pretty good.
Guardians of the Galaxy is very good, and honestly, this is very comparable to something like Guardians of the Galaxy.
I don't know.
Just watch the fucking movie.
Maybe one day.
Watch the movie and text me your apology. It has Keith Urban. That's all I need to say.
How about this? I'll go see that and text you my apology if you go see Annihilation and text me yours.
I will go... Well, I'll wait for Annihilation to come out on DVD because I'm not going to pay to watch it in the theaters. And I'll text you how I feel about the movie, which will very likely be the same way I feel about it now.
Did you ever see Ex Machina?
No, I did not.
You should see that too, because if you saw Ex Machina and you found out that the guy who made that movie made a new film, you'd be having a different opinion right now, because Ex Machina is probably one of the best sci-fi movies of the past 20 years. And I'm not even shitting you on that.
It was from the guy who wrote 28 Days Later, so you have my attention.
Yes.
Briefly.
And he made Annihilation, which, if it's not the best sci-fi movie of the past 20 years, it's honestly a film I haven't stopped thinking about since I saw it. I can't really explain much because it'll give away too much of it. But let's just say there's a scene with a bear that actually freaked me out a little bit, and that's saying a lot.
Wait. You just said that this was the best sci-fi movie of the past 20 years.
No.
Which, in that time frame...
Ex Machina was.
Oh. But
this movie is still up there.
You're saying
possibly.
Ex Machina was the best sci-fi movie in the past 20 years, and in that time frame, that would include The Last Jedi. So, first of all, how dare you?
Okay, I take that back. The Last Jedi was the best sci-fi movie in the past 20 years, because I'm a Star Wars fan and I can't say anything bad about Star Wars because if Star Wars is made, I don't care if it's from Disney, it's still the best movie I've ever seen. It's got Jar Jar Binks, it's got the ports, and it has references like Carrie Fisher's in it, and she lives in the end, bro.
Because she flies through space when she's dead and just comes back to life.
I thought the film honestly was gonna have balls like, fuck Carrie Fisher, she's dead in real life, she's dead to us in the movie franchise. Boom, gone. Now that would have been an Academy Award winning ending.
It did have Benicio del Toro though. And
that
he was
dude
great.
is pretty great in everything.
Anyways, I think that pretty much wraps up our day.
All right, Last Jedi, best movie of the past millennium.
The best Star Wars movie in the past year and a half.
Yeah, that's all we have to say. It's all about the Alien franchise this week, but our closing remarks are Last Jedi was just that good. So thanks for tuning in, y'all. Have a good one.
Deuces.